every good video game hero, there's almost always a villain that acts as his or her foil, and usually, these villains have some serious power on their side. Some can easily take down a whole country, a whole continent, the whole world, sometimes even the whole universe. And while said villains usually possess a face that only a mother could love, there are those that can easily bring you down on your knees with just a wink and a smile. Hey there, I'm Kitskua from Ungeek, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the villains who are as attractive as they are deadly. Sephiroth, Final Fantasy VII. Starting off with one of the most iconic and easily recognizable video game villains, we have Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. Do I really need to explain why we love him? Man's a hottie, and I wouldn't mind him stabbing me with his long sword if you get what I mean. But it's not just because of his good looks and the length of his Masamune. No matter how much we love Cloud, some might empathize more with Sephiroth because of his backstory. For those of you who don't know, Sephiroth was in Shinra's military force called Soldier. When Shinra got involved with a conflict against the nation of Wutai, Sephiroth carried Shinra's forces to victory. He was so OP, he pretty much single-handedly whooped Wutai's butt. After the conflict, he was regarded as a big-name war hero, so much so that mid-core kids probably had posters of him up on their walls. And for someone like Cloud, he was practically like Superman. But fast forward a few years and things took quite the 180 in Sephiroth's life. In a mission alongside future protagonist Cloud, Sephiroth was assigned to investigate a monster issue near Nibelheim, which also happens to be Cloud's hometown. Sephiroth then discovers that he's been the subject of some serious and messed up genetic experimentation, aka the Genova Project. In a fit of rage, he burns down Nibelheim and practically kills everyone in sight, which you may think is a bit much, but he doesn't stop there. In addition to multiple atrocities and murders, he rammed his big sword through our precious Aerith and summons Meteor to ruin the planet just so he could gain a status close to that of a god. Now that might sound bad, but at least he's not evil for the sake of being evil. He has an awesomely rich backstory which makes him more than just a rage monster of destruction. And while it's easy to hate him, some can also definitely say he's hugely misunderstood. Wow, I sounded like a miserable girlfriend justifying staying in a bad relationship. Alcina Dimitrescu, Resident Evil Village. Capcom has made threatening giant bosses such as Mr. X in Resident Evil 2 and Nemesis in Resident Evil 3. But I never thought they'd be able to make an unbelievably attractive but terrifying giant vampire. The internet went nuts when she got revealed, and it got really weird. My feed was flooded by thirsty posts, fan arts, memes, and everybody was like, "Mommy, step on me." But who was I to blame them? Even I couldn't escape the charm of this sinister sister of seduction. I especially enjoyed looking at the countless cosplayers who have accurately captured her look and vibe. Let's just say she awakened something in me, and maybe even some fetishes we didn't know we had. She's taller than Mr. X and Nemesis, but it's not just her height that shows you she's in charge. Resident Evil Village art director Tomonori Nakano revealed that if you include her hat and heels, she's a whopping 9'6" tall, earning her the nickname the Tall Lady. With her strength, stature, and charm, I wouldn't be surprised if gamers will jump in just so they can be picked up and get choked by the Big Mama. We could probably set a new record for the highest number of voluntary deaths in a single game. Viego, Ruin King, a League of Legends story. Next on the list is the biggest simp in the League of Legends universe, Viego the Ruined King. Aside from the action-packed 5v5s on the Rift, I personally love League of Legends character-rich lores. All 140 champions have unique and interesting backstories that, most of the time, coincide with each other. There are a lot of content to cover in the Tales of Runeterra, and in the upcoming RPG called Ruined King: A League of Legends Story, we will be immersed in the story of the Ruination. The Ruination traces its roots back all the way to a young Viego, a king who fell into madness after his wife Isolde passed away. His blind devotion and obsession for his beloved led him to wasting the kingdom's entire treasury on attempts to bring her back. But the worst happens when he decides to invade the Blessed Isles to get his hands on the secret waters of life, said to cure anything, but was also said to work only on living beings. Throwing the rulebook out of the window, he dipped Isolde's lifeless body into the waters of life, which revives her, but in the form of a confused, undying ray. This leaves Viego utterly heartbroken, not just because of his failure, but because Isolde quite literally stabs him through his heart with his own sword. Now, while some would think that this guy has gone through enough misery, fate wasn't so kind, as Viego, who's supposed to die said stabbing, finds himself unable to die, as he was apparently standing in the waters of life. The cherry on top of this heartbreak cake is how Viego's sword also has a special ability to absorb a part of the current king's soul, which also saves him from death.
It's alive!
Through this complicated mix of events, the Blessed Isles explode, starting the Ruination, which also births the existence of the Shadow Isles. While this fallen royal makes a solid claim at the title of Damned King of Simps, he actually has some damn good looks to boot. He's a miserable king with a big long sword, and a fashion sense that could cut you with its edge. I do love a bad boy who's ready to do anything for his queen. La Signora, Genshin Impact. In case you've been living under a rock, Genshin Impact is a free-to-play gacha RPG that has captured the hearts and wallets of millions of players all around the globe. It's no surprise that it became an immediate global sensation. The game features breathtaking landscapes, a rich storyline, and a lot of memorable characters, one of whom is La Signora, also known as the Fair Lady. She made her first appearance at the end of Act 3, where she attacked Venti and the Traveler outside Mondstadt Cathedral. Dressed in clothes that can pass as a celebrity gown for the red carpet, she definitely made a grand entrance, and to be honest, I'd gladly swap myself with Venti right then and there. The Fair Lady has an intricate character design that looks like she's intended to stand out and be filled with presence. She's immediately built as a huge deal in the game, especially when she was revealed to be one of the 11 Harbingers of Fatui, a malicious group of diplomats whose current goal is to steal the powers of the elemental gods of Teyvat. We know she's the real deal as she occupies the 8th seat in the organization. With how strongly she was presented, I simply can't wait to find out more about her. Virgil, Devil May Cry series. It's been 2 decades since we were first introduced to the human-demon hybrid Dante in Devil May Cry, and our hero has been on quite a ride over the years. A lot of us love Dante, but his twin brother Virgil, well, he's everything Dante isn't, and that makes him that mysterious bad boy that we girls like to go for. Dante is playful and over the top, while Virgil's sheer presence is cold and commanding. His movements are so precise that one slash from his katana is enough to kill an enemy that I'd spend hours trying to defeat. It's no surprise he got skills from their demon father, the legendary Dark Knight Sparda. Virgil adored Sparda and his massive power, so he did everything to restore his father's heritage, rule the human world, and the demon realm. His mother was slaughtered by his father's enemies when he was young, and that event very likely started his obsession for power. He embraced his demonic heritage and suppressed his humanity as he believed that humanity is weakness. Devil May Cry 5, we actually see Virgil physically split himself into two beings. Urizen is the physical being and perception of what he sees as power. That's why he looks massive and strong. On the other hand, V is a frail, emo-looking capsule of some sort of Virgil's suffering and trauma when he was under service of his father's enemy, Mundus. There's a lot of discussion around Virgil's character, and he is what he is because of the path he took. People respect that, and they appreciate how he parallels and contrasts Dante, who, on the other hand, embraced the human in him. Widowmaker Overwatch. There are a bunch of comics, short stories, and animated shorts for the team-based shooter Overwatch, but for a game that has such wonderful fleshed-out characters, it hasn't done the best job of telling its stories in the actual game. Fortunately, in Overwatch 2, story and gameplay will come together in the co-op story missions. One of the characters I wanna know more about is Amelie Lacroix, also known as Widowmaker. Before she was known as a merciless assassin, she was an accomplished ballerina married to an Overwatch agent, Gerard Lacroix. Gerard was spearheading operations against the Talon terrorist organization. That's why he was always targeted by them. After multiple failed attempts to eliminate Gerard, Talon switched their focus to Amelie to bring down Overwatch. She was kidnapped and subjected to an intense brainwashing program that broke her will, suppressed her personality, and reprogrammed her as their own sleeper agent. Overwatch agents eventually found her unharmed and she returned to her normal life with Gerard. However, her Talon program activated 2 weeks later and she killed her beloved husband in his sleep. That is how she earned her nickname, Widowmaker. I hope Widowmaker's backstory can be explored more in the upcoming sequel. Does she feel any remorse after killing her husband? She once visited his grave after all. At the start of the Alive cinematic, she said,
"When I was a girl, I had a fear of spiders. I was told they felt no emotion, that their hearts never beat. But I know the truth. At the moment of the kill, they are never more alive."
That leaves me wondering if she was truly brainwashed to be a cold-blooded assassin, or did Talon just awaken the natural killer that was already inside Amelie Lacroix? That's it for our list of the villains who are as attractive as they are deadly. I know there are a lot of villains out there who make us simp for them, so let me know in the comments who your favorites are. I do love those who have a tragic past that led them to who they are now. But of course, that is never an excuse to be mean to others. And with that said, let's always try our best to be kind to one another, even though we're having a bad day. Again, this is Kitskua of Ungeek. You can check out my cosplays on Twitter and Instagram or say hi to me on my Twitch streams, all at Kitskua. Don't forget to check out Ungeek for more videos and articles like this. See you in the next one!